In 2015, 4 college students vanished overnight. Police searched for months, families waited with hope, but not a single trace was found. But what if they had left a clue in their final moments? When a mother found the last message from her son, the whole story of the incident was being rewritten. This story, in fact, began with a group of college students deciding to take a walk on a regular Friday evening. They were more than just 4 friends. Each had their own story, their own dreams. Liam was the most ambitious student in the engineering department. He solved everything with logic. He was a senior and dreamed of interning at NASA. His girlfriend, Chloe, had come to the school on a talent scholarship. She was a sensitive soul who brought art and colors to life. Each of her paintings was a reflection of her inner world. Twin siblings Ben and Maya were opposites. Ben was always the laid-back type, diffusing tension with jokes. Everyone loved him. Maya was the most observant of the group. She noticed even the smallest details and wanted to be an investigative journalist one day. That evening, overwhelmed by the pressure of their final projects, they decided to take a walk on the path behind their campus in Cedar Creek Forest. Their only goal was to clear their heads, put their phones aside, and enjoy nature. But that night, something was completely different. Their phone signals were cut near a bridge called Blackwood, which according to local legends was considered cursed. The first call came at 10 p.m. from Liam's mother. Worried after being unable to reach her son, she went to the police. At first, the police didn't take it very seriously. "It's just kids, they lose track of time," they said, hanging up the phone. Detective Miller, who handled the case, was experienced with these kinds of youthful escapades and thought the case would be solved quickly. But with each passing hour, as another family called, a silent anxiety turned into a full-blown panic. The next morning, a large search party began to comb the forest. They searched under every tree, inside every bush. But the forest gave no answers. There were no signs of a struggle, no footprints, no remnants of a campfire, nothing. It was as if the 4 teenagers had vanished into a crack in the earth. The media dubbed the event the mysterious disappearance of the Cedar Creek 4. The only real clue related to the incident was a fragmented text message Maya had sent to her brother just minutes before she disappeared. The message briefly said, "It's not safe here. Don't go to the cabin." The message was followed by a series of unreadable, strange numbers. Investigators examined this text, but it was meaningless. Which cabin was she referring to? What did the numbers mean? No one knew. The police thought the message might be a joke or that the teenagers were playing a dangerous game. Years passed. The case was officially marked unsolved. But Liam's mother, still clinging to a sliver of hope, never gave up. Just as the police had done countless times, she meticulously examined her son's old phone records. She wasn't looking for a message from her son. She was looking for a message sent to her son. And that's when she found it. A single incoming text message sent at 11:32 p.m. on the night Liam and his friends disappeared. The message was from Ben. It was long, broken into several parts, but one sentence stood out. It was a cry for help. "They weren't supposed to be here. We saw that old bus. It's moving." The discovery of this message completely changed the story. The case was reopened, and this time, detectives went after the old bus Ben had mentioned. They worked on old maps and local legends and finally discovered an abandoned forest road deep within the forest area where the incident took place, a road that wasn't on the maps. At the end of this road, there truly was a rusted, overturned old school bus from the 1950s. The police searched it thoroughly but found no evidence. However, a new detective, who continued the investigation, noticed a freshly carved symbol on a tree next to the bus. It was the T15 symbol. It was understood that this symbol was derived from the route number on the bus that had gone missing years ago in a crash in the region, and it had started the lost bus legend among the locals. The story was becoming more complicated with every step. The student's phone data showed that a group photo, sent from Liam's phone at 10:50 p.m., had been deleted. This photo had been taken just half an hour before they disappeared. And the person who deleted this photo was not Liam. This brought up a question: had someone else joined them? Later, a voice memo was discovered on Chloe's phone that was never sent. The memo was only 5 seconds long and contained the sound of wind, Ben whispering Maya, "Run," and then a sharp scream. This voice memo became one of the most concrete pieces of evidence in the police's possession. But the biggest surprise was an old cell phone found in Ben's mother's pocket, which had never been checked since the day he went missing. When the phone was charged, a video was found in the gallery. The video was a blurry and shaky shot lasting only a few seconds. In the video, from Ben's point of view, they could be seen walking quickly through the forest. Suddenly, the silhouette of a man appeared from behind a tree. The man's face was not clear, but he was holding an old-style camera. He was taking pictures of the students with this camera and was coming towards them. The camera was shaking, and Ben's whispered voice could be heard, "Hide. He's taking pictures of us." And the video ended with a sharp blackout. That's when all the pieces of the story began to come together. The police connected the symbol next to the bus with the man in the video. Their investigation revealed that this symbol was used by a group called the Silent Collectors that was active in the region in the 1980s. This group called themselves Gatherers of Lost Souls and were obsessed with old items, memories, and especially human stories. That old bus was their gathering place. With the new information that emerged, the perspective on the case changed completely. This was no longer a simple missing persons case, it was the work of a mysterious cult. Detectives began to investigate similar incidents that had happened in the past. It turned out that other students, travelers, and even foresters had gone missing in the same region years ago. They all had one thing in common: suspicious clues about being photographed before they disappeared. That's why the man's camera in the video was so important. This cult added people's final moments to their collection by photographing them. For them, this was a work of art. Thanks to an old journal found around the bus, the police learned the name of the cult leader, Jonathan Crane. The journal contained notes, drawings, and even small poems about each missing person. Expressions like "they turned into shadow" and "their souls blended with the eternal silence of the forest" made the cult's philosophy clearer. They saw death as a release, a work of art. The story focuses on the last seconds of the video found by Ben's mother. As the camera shakes, Ben's last words are heard: "Run, Maya, run." But where was Maya to run? This was still a mystery. Maya's phone was never found. Perhaps the place she ran to after sending her last message became her final destination. Detectives continued to examine the missing students' school records. They came across an article a university professor had written years ago about the forest, which contained local legends. In his article, the professor mentioned Blackwood Bridge and a being called the Shadow Eater. According to the legend, this being fed on people's fears and pulled them into its own dimension. The professor's article brought up a completely different theory about the case. Maybe the bus was just a symbol, a point of passage, and the students were truly victims of a supernatural force. The investigation team then contacted a consultant who was a paranormal expert. The expert said that the sudden cessation of signals from the students' phones indicated an energy anomaly in that area. This anomaly could be a portal or a door to another dimension. The spooky scream in the voice memo on Chloe's phone had also been recorded during this anomaly. Afterwards, let's talk about Arthur, a retired forester who volunteered to join the investigation. Arthur had a painful past related to his daughter, who had gone missing years ago, and was the only person with first-hand knowledge about the Silent Collectors. He explained that this cult not only made people disappear but also believed they took their souls. Arthur said there were secret passages and shelters in the forest. He thought the students were taken there and used for a ritual. When his own daughter disappeared, Arthur said he saw someone with an old camera taking pictures in the forest, just like in Ben's video. But no one had believed him. Now, years later, facing this evidence was a chance for him. Arthur explained that there was a tunnel entrance under the bus that no one had noticed before. The tunnel led to a shelter that had been forgotten for years. Inside this shelter, the detectives found the most horrifying thing: the walls were covered with photographs of hundreds of missing people. In each photograph, a person's last moment had been captured. Among the photos was one showing the last moments of the 4 missing students. In the photograph, the students were standing in a circle, looking at the camera with fearful eyes. This was proof that their souls had been collected by this cult. In the center of the wall, there was a photograph with the final collection written on it. However, this photograph was empty. Only a date was written, 2025. A future date. This showed that everything was just the beginning. The most critical point of the story emerged from the in-depth analysis of the missing students' phone data. Forensic IT experts managed to recover the photo that was deleted from Liam's phone. The photo looked like a normal group selfie, but in the background, a blurry silhouette of a hooded figure stood among the trees. The face of this figure was not visible, but he was holding an old-style camera, just like in Ben's video. This was definitive proof that the students were being followed even before they entered the forest. Moreover, the GPS data in the photo's metadata pointed to an old cabin deep in the forest. This was the cabin that Maya mentioned in her last message. The police had searched this cabin years ago but had found nothing. Now, in light of new information, it was understood that this cabin needed to be re-examined. The detectives found more evidence belonging to the silent collectors in the cabin. On the walls, there were terrifying drawings and symbols. In a corner, there was a dateless journal. The journal belonged not to the cult leader Jonathan Crane, but to another member, someone nicknamed Shadow. In the journal, Shadow wrote that he had taken Crane's philosophy a step further, and that taking a photograph was not enough to add souls to his collection, he needed to materialize the victim's fear. This provided more details about the fear the students experienced on the night of their disappearance. The spooky scream in the voice memo on Chloe's phone could have been part of this fear materialization ritual. The police sent the symbols and notes in Shadow's journal to a cryptography expert. The expert realized that the notes were part of a musical composition. The name of the piece, The Final Lament. Within the composition, there were mysterious clues that a secret passage in the forest would open on the night when the moonlight is at its brightest. The detectives checked the calendar and were horrified to realize that the next night with the brightest moon was just a few days away. A race against time had begun. This was no longer just about solving the past, it was also about preventing a future catastrophe. The video ends with the dramatic appearance of a rusted old bus in the middle of a dark forest. And on the screen, the question appears, the Cedar Creek 4. Are they still out there somewhere?